It's on the podcast. Do the intro.
All right, 3, 2, 1, ready, go. Here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the No Breakfast Club. I'm Larry.
And I'm Daniel.
And today we're talking about
coronavirus
and obesity and quarantine.
Yeah, and how to stay fit or lose weight or not gain weight and all that stuff when you're stuck indoors. It's a weird time, man.
It is a weird time.
Yeah, it's a very weird time. It's some people are handling it differently. People like me are snacking like crazy, and then other people are using it as a time to double down.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of solo hiking. So
we've been hiking together, but he's a crazy man. So like I don't do the crazy stuff. Like he like the second time we went out, like I looked down and I'm on the side of a cliff. Like there's nowhere for me to go. And I'm like, oh dude, this is my second time. What are we doing? So I made him promise to save the crazy stuff for later. And so he does that on his own. Then we go out together.
So we go out and then you're like, and the next day you call me up like, where are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm on a hike. Oh, how long did you go? I'm like, oh, I went 16 miles. Like, you're nuts.
Yeah, we went on a 12-mile hike.
We did the 12-mile. But that was like, at the end of it, you're like, this is the end.
It was 4 hours.
Yeah, it was.
It was a 4-hour hike. We did 12 miles. And at the end of it, my feet were killing me. Like, I've got pretty good endurance and stamina now.
First one, it was like your fourth time. So
it was it was like my fourth time hiking ever. Yeah. But I go to the gym every hour or for an hour every morning. So it's like.
Not right now, but you did.
But I used to. Yeah. And so
There's
like
no
that.
Gym right now.
But it's weird to go from a guy who is 500 pounds. Excuse me, that's not Corona. For a guy that was 500 pounds to go from that to being able to hike for 4 hours to being able to hike for 16 miles like you've been doing.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
It is.
Like, how did that happen? How do we do that? I know we're going off topic a little bit.
Yeah,
from
we
Corona,
did a little bit. Yeah, no, yeah. It's, it's one of those things for me. I was talking to somebody else about this recently, and they just like, how did you stay motivated? How'd you do that? And it's like, this became my new addiction. So, and I think it's a good one. And this is what the difference between this and overeating is this is one I can actually put down. I can go a couple days and not hike here or whatever, or not, do intermittent fasting. I don't want to, but I could do that because it's a lot easier to slip out of this than you can't slip out of overeating. You have to work at it to get out of that.
Yeah, you can't slip out of it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Because you can slip out of dieting, you can slip out of working out, but you can't slip out of unhealthy lifestyles.
You can't, yeah. That is the slip. And you're stuck in a rut. It's a rut versus like being on a peak, and I like to stay on the peak. But you have to work to stay on the peak. So, but that's what I did. I just replaced it. So rather than like thinking about what I was going to eat next, I thought, okay, where I want to go next? Where am I going to hike next? How long can I push this extended fast I'm going on right now, or whatever it is. When it is what I'm going to eat, it's like, okay, what healthy thing I'm thinking about how I'm going to cook this healthy thing, not about like how much of this like greasy carb loaded food am I going to eat? It's a different thing.
Right.
But on that same note, talking about slipping, this is what brought it up for us. I think we were talking about what our next subject was going to be, and we had a couple things lined up and we switched it for this because we thought this would be important to talk about. And I put a post up showing my progress, and someone like the common joke at the time was social distancing. This is going to be me, but they're going to flip it around because they're stuck at home and all they're doing, all that food that they bought, that they hoarded or they stocked up on, they eat it all on the first day or the second day.
Which is what I did.
Yeah, a lot of people have done that. And so
that's total. Like I bought a whole bunch of snacks and like they're gone.
Yeah. And I didn't have that problem, but yeah, it's definitely there. It's there. It's like, hey, Larry, you can have this. It's here. You're not going anywhere. And it's those little things you miss, right? Like I was never the most social outgoing guy, like going out and doing things per se, but like, it's when you're like, oh, hey, let's go meet up we can't.
Yeah.
Or, the meetup's this week. Oh, there's no meetup. We can't go watch. We can't even just go do things I would do on my own, like, or just with a couple friends, like, hey, let's go watch a movie. We can't go watch a movie.
Yeah, or like I was having internet trouble the other day, if you remember. I can't even go to Starbucks
and use theirs.
And use their internet. Like, it's just a weird world right now.
Yeah, and so we wanted to talk about this. And the other one was, a lot of people are linking articles about this now, is with coronavirus, I think it was the death rate in the UK or whatever, like 70 to 80% of people who died in the UK
70%, yeah, that's
were obese.
Yeah.
And it's people who are getting hit hard by it here in states and who are dying from it tend to be obese.
Yeah, Louisiana has a much higher mortality rate than New York because they have a much higher obesity rate. They're thinking,
which I just saw when I pulled up an article before we started on my phone here, and that was the top article was New Orleans concerned about the obesity and diabetes problem and the effect it's having on coronavirus there.
Yeah,
and so it's this crazy thing where like. You even messaged me and said, man, we lost the weight just in time.
Like literally just on time.
And the other side of that too is I've seen articles other articles linked to those where the people are saying, if you are obese, this is not the time to crash diet because that will it'll shock your system. And you don't want to shock your system when there's a virus going around.
Well, I don't understand what they mean by crash diet.
I think it means like a lot of people when they like, oh, I need to diet, they go hard at first.
Sure.
So they just like hit it really hard. Like kind of like what I did when I started.
Yeah. So did I.
There wasn't a pandemic at the time. So now there is one. So this probably isn't the best time to do that. I would say this is where the slow approach would be better. I honestly disagree. I think it's like, do your diet, man. You're stuck at home. Now's a really good time for you to like hunker down. And like, if you're being careful and being socially distant and like go for it. Do your diet. Well, I'm not saying no. Don't do the diet. I'm saying this would be the better. Don't go cold turkey. You know what I mean? Because like let's say like if you're going to do keto, right? One of the things I always tell you about keto is the keto flu, which is like you get the withdrawals from not having the sugar, and you literally get sick. Some people get diarrhea, throw up. Some people
I got a rash.
Nausea. Some people get rashes. I got fever in the shakes and chills. And that when that's doing it, your body, I think, is kind of attacking itself. That's the immune system responding. And if it's responding to that, it might not be able to then respond to flu or coronavirus or something like that, like a real flu. And so that's what that's what I was saying. If you're being careful already, if you're being careful,
and you're in the house and you're not going out and you're not going to get sick anyway because of everything's shut down.
Well, yeah, if you literally are self-isolating that much, then you'd probably be okay. You're not going to get it anyway.
I think it's more important for you to lose the weight before this thing has a second wave.
Yeah.
Or whatever's going to happen next.
Once that curve that everyone's been talking about, we get on the other side of that curve, then definitely you want to make it so that when fall comes back around, because that's when they're saying there could be a second wave when the winter comes back around. You want to be in a position where you're not obese. You've got diabetes or high blood pressure under control.
You want to be as healthy as possible, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely killing you more if you have high blood pressure, if you're obese, if you're older. Like,
there's not much you can do about being older. But if obesity is an aging disease, so it makes you older than you are.
That will help, yeah. That's why it's killing obese people so much. And so like now's a really good time for you to like help yourself for yourself. Like literally try and save your own life.
Yeah.
Because it's if you get it and you're overweight, your chances of dying are much worse right now.
Yeah, it's like, again, like 70-80% of people who've died have been obese.
Yeah, so do yourself a favor. Don't snack like I have been. That's the tough part, having like, because you want to stock up so you have food in the house, because it's one of those things that we do when it's in times of panic. So you want to stock up, but when the house is full of stuff like that, like you're like, oh, I'll just have a couple of these and then a couple of these and then a couple of these, and before you know it, it's all gone. You're like, oh.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who likes to buy things fresh, like to shop and get fresh ingredients, and we just had another double down from our governor about no, don't go out unless you absolutely need to. You know, shopping, yes, is a necessity, but try to get as much as you can in one shopping trip done. And so I can't do the fresh shopping as much. And even if I wanted to, half of it's not there.
How often are you shopping nowadays?
About once a week.
No, I'm doing about twice a week.
Yeah.
Because I still want my fresh stuff.
Yeah. It really does depend. Like if it's just me, it's once a week, but someone's always like, hey, can we get this? And so we're trying to send one person. So that's me, because I'm the youngest and the healthiest in my household.
Yes, and so, I'm like I don't let my mom go anywhere.
Oh, obviously not.
Yeah.
So, I'm the one who hits the store, but I'm trying to do it as little as possible. And I wear a mask and gloves, and I bring the hand sanitizer with me when I do it. So it feels so weird because like you kind of feel like because not everybody's doing it, which is also weird. Mm-hmm. But like I just feel like I am a meme or something. Like, oh, it's that guy who wears the mask and the gloves and everything just to go pick up one thing from the store. But it's like, we're supposed to, right?
That's what you're supposed to, right?
Our governor, or the CDC just said, if you're going to leave the house, wear a mask. So
It's crazy times. But yeah, let's bring it back around to dieting and staying healthy and fit during all this. So yeah, if you can hike, that's one way you can stay active right now. We've been doing that. If not, walk.
Walking,
There's tons of people walking. Stay away from parks. Like I see the parks full of people. We went to Lone Mountain the other day and it was like over 100 people there.
We literally found a spot away from like benches and everything on some rocks on the side of a mountain, and we sat there and talked because we were doing that, and we're like, yeah, we can't go through the park. There's too many people here.
We literally didn't hike or walk because there was too many people around.
Yeah, we didn't want to go up the mountain because it's a narrow trail on certain points, and there's like you just see lines of people going up.
So many people.
So yeah, avoid at least avoid the more popular parks.
Popular parks and trails.
Like there's a place near me, it's called the Promenade, and it's this long little garden that you can walk down the middle of, and it's like, I'm not walking there because there's just a line of people constantly. And what's funny is it's like the best week we've had in a while. It's been really, strangely for Vegas, it's been cold and rainy for like a month. Like March was basically just cold and rainy.
The whole month.
And windy.
Yeah.
And it finally stopped, and it's beautiful, and we're in the middle of a pandemic, and everybody's out.
I know.
So it's like this weird thing. But yeah, I think, going for walks, I'm lucky enough to live on the edge of town, so I can literally just go out my backyard and be on trails that nobody else is on or very few people are on, and I can just go. And that's what I do. And that's how I avoid eating. When I get those, like, I want to eat, I want to start, snacking or binging or whatever it is, I'm like, all right, it's time to go for a walk. A few hours out there, it kicks it out of you.
Is that really what you do as soon as you get, like, a craving?
Generally, yeah.
Does that and when you come back home, your craving is gone?
I'm usually very tired,
right?
But at the same time energized. Like my mind is awake and going and active, but my legs are tired and stuff like that. So then I go upstairs to my room. So now if I want to eat, I have to go downstairs, and that's a deterrent. And then I just try to. I usually if I do hike, it's going to be mid to late afternoon kind of thing, and then by the time I get back, it's getting ready to be, it's about dark. It's evening. So then I just like, okay, I'm in shutdown mode now. So throw on a movie, throw on YouTube videos, whatever I'm going to watch for the evening, and just kind of just chill until I get ready for bed. And I already have like my water I'm going to have for the rest of the night in my room, so that I don't have a reason to go into the kitchen. So it's a good
way to do it.
It's about tricking your mind.
That's really all it is,
tricking
right?
yourself, right? Like one of our little tips and tricks we haven't mentioned yet was, if you're going to have a cheat day, have a cheat day on Sunday and go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. That was what I did. Remember, I called it the Chick-fil-A diet. I would push my cheat day until Sunday, and then I would be like, okay, I'm going to have Chick-fil-A, and like, oh, they're closed Sunday. Today. Well, I guess I'll do it next week.
Yeah, I'll do it next week. Yeah, and that's it's kind of that same idea. If I'm not in the kitchen, my only reason to go to the kitchen is to eat, then I just don't go down to the kitchen, Well,
that's good. That's self-control. That's what I've been lacking lately.
Willpower.
But to bring it back around to Corona, like what I think is cool is, and you can back this up, is we've always talked about how like after 2 weeks of doing this, you start to feel great.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how much better you'll feel knowing that at this time you're feeling stronger than ever. You're feeling healthier than ever. Even though you're still overweight and like this is the beginning of your journey, I think at this time during all this craziness, it's going to make you feel even more empowered to go, oh, I feel really healthy right now.
Yeah, I would. I have videos that I did on my channel when I was in the process of losing the weight, and I was losing a bunch of weight, but I was still a fat guy. I was still like over 300 pounds here. I was still over 350 pounds, whatever it was. But in the videos, I'm so happy and I feel great, and I didn't feel any. Dogs are barking. May or may not hear that. I didn't feel any. I don't feel any better now necessarily than I did then. I feel even more confident in health. I feel lighter now, but at the same, but like my physical well-being like that, not being tired and sickly all the time, it's about the same as it is now. Once you are in that mode, like that first 3 months, you feel fantastic.
So good.
It's amazing.
And that's, I think that'll be key. I can't imagine, like the same way you and I talked about the other day, that we lost this weight right on time and how great that is. I can't imagine what it would be right now to be 300, 400, 500 pounds and to suddenly get that kick you get after the first 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks of dieting, of doing keto, of doing intermittent fast, of doing the cheat code. that amazing feeling you get of like how strong and healthy and like to have that feeling now in the middle of this pandemic where you're probably the most scared you've been.
Yeah.
The most worried you've been, right? Especially now hearing all this news about how it's much worse for you if you have high blood pressure, if you're overweight and stuff. Like now you're like, seriously, oh God.
And again, like we're not physicians, we're not doctors.
No, this is not medical advice.
This is not medical advice, but the last year and a half, I've been sick the least I've ever been sick in my life.
Yeah, me too.
So I used to get, I'd get a cold or whatever, and it put me down 3 or 4 days, and then I get the flu, it put me down for a week or more. I get strep throat, put me down for a couple weeks or whatever. I haven't had strep throat, and I don't know if I've ever gotten the flu, because when I do get a sick, it's like a day and a half at most.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of like, oh, I don't feel so hot, I'm gonna take it easy today, and then I'm fine.
Right. Well, I mean, like I was 500 pounds. I was a diabetic and all that stuff. And then I had LASIK last year, at the end of last year. And when I went for my first follow-up, because you have your first, well, it was my second follow-up. You have your first follow-up in a week where they make sure like nothing's broken and like hanging off the side and stuff. And then you have another follow-up a month later, and then again 3 months and stuff like that. So when I went back for my 1 month follow-up, the doctor was like looking at my hand, goes, wow, you heal really quickly. And to hear that as a guy who used to be 500 pounds just 2 years ago, diabetic, and like, and
you have wounds that don't heal.
You have wounds that take forever to heal. And to have a doctor just look at you and go, wow, you heal really quickly. It's just like that's a testament to where your body can go from to.
Yeah. Your body's not fighting itself anymore. So it can work on what it needs to work on. So when you do have an injury, it can fix it. I found that for me, post-workout, I almost had none. And if I did have it, it was like a delayed and it wasn't as bad. So it used to be if I did work out the next day, super sore, can't do anything. Now it's like 3 days later, a little sore. Like not even the next day was I sore. It was like a couple of days later, I'm a little sore. Like this kind of like delayed, lessened version of
your recovery
soreness.
time is way better.
And the inflammation is way down, so there's not that problem. It's just everything gets better health-wise.
I agree. So yeah, I would love for you, if you're in the middle of this pandemic right now and you're worried and you're scared and you're overweight, if this was kind of the kick in the pants you needed to get going, right? That's why we're here. And imagine how much better you'll feel if a year from now this thing comes back around way worse and you're suddenly find yourself 200 pounds thinner to handle it better and to take care of your family better. And
you could be the healthy one that takes care of everybody else.
Like you and I would never have been in a position to take care of our families a year or two ago.
Yeah, I have a family member who is extremely obese, is morbidly obese, as it were, because there's different categories, and he is freaked out because that's all he hears about, and he doesn't want to leave the house ever, and he's got a family, he's got kids, he's got a wife, and he has to really worry about it, and it's like he's the breadwinner, so if he goes down, who's going to take care of the family? Who's going to do this? And so this has got him more worried than anything ever has, I think. Even just being that obese is a health problem as it is. Now there's this extra added thing that if you watch the news, they're saying everybody's going to eventually have it here within the next year.
70%.
Yeah, the population will have the coronavirus at some time. And so...
Yeah, like that's the important thing to remember, right? We're not self-isolating and quarantining to get rid of the virus. We're doing it to flatten the curve so that the hospitals can handle the load. Like until a vaccine or a cure comes out, like there is no cure or vaccine. Like this is our way of life. Like all we're trying to do with this is flatten the curve so that our hospitals don't get overloaded and they can handle, but we're all going to get sick eventually.
Yeah. I think they said it was like once we reach that 70 to 80%, it's when we'll get herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
So, and because you can't get it again unless it mutates or something. But
as far as we know,
you can't. Yeah, as far as again, we're not doctors or anything like that. But that's the stuff that I've been reading and seeing. And so yeah, we're all going to eventually get it. So he's on edge, and that doesn't help. That's stress and added things, and so all these little factors. And there's this other side of things too, where you don't want to freak yourself out too much, though. Right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like my mom's doing. My mom is freaking herself out.
You stress yourself out. You get the anxiety. That's going to lead to stress eating, and or it can, unless you can trick yourself like I do. And so there's all these factors on top of that. So you want to, you want to take it easy. And I think that's why there were some of those warnings I saw about avoiding crash dieting. And when I say crash dieting, I mean like the cold turkey way. I think we even talked about, when we talked about the cheat code, you were more in favor of like a work your way into it, you know? And I think that is the better way to go about it, especially now, because if you try to crash diet now and try not to be obese today, that's like taking vitamin C after you already have the cold.
Oh yeah, that's totally not going to work.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be about, you know, easing your way into it and just trying to make those healthy decisions now, so that once you can get out of the house and the quarantining, the self-isolation has been lifted, and we can go out and do things, that you're like, okay, I'm in position now. I'm not dependent on sugar or whatever, and I can now start losing the weight and getting to that healthy position, so that when a year from now comes around, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, you just want to be in the healthiest possible position you can be, and now's a really good time. Like you're stuck indoors, and you have two choices. You can snack like I've been doing, or you can not snack like Larry's been doing, and I think not snacking is the much better option. Because there's going to be two types of people after that come out of this, right? In 3 months and 6 months, a year, whatever it is, people are going to be far more overweight than they used to be, and then people who are far less.
Yeah, the upside of the people, like I joke, because like, you know, the trails and the parks are full of people, and it's kind of annoying. It's like, man, where were you guys all at, you know, 2 months ago when I was here by myself? But at the same time, it's like, hey, but there are people out and about, and they're at the parks and they're on the trails, and they're trying to be healthy, they're trying to be fit, and it's like, this is a good time to reevaluate what is important. You know, it's kind of like after a 9/11, we had what was important, and when we held on to those things, you know, family and friends and community, those became important. And at this time, we can't necessarily hold on to those things, but there's other things like what's important, right? But you can't eat out right now. And so some of the people are probably gonna be doing takeout and delivery, but like if you're cooking on your own, and you're people who may not cook very often are now gonna have to be at home, they're gonna have to cook. And they'll have to make their own meals and things like that. If you're able to do that, and you could learn, oh, I don't need to eat out 5 days a week, 3 days a week. You know?
I would not be eating out right now anyway.
Most places you can't, but there are places where you can.
There's tons of, I don't mean sitting down and eating out. You can't do that at all. But like, I would not eat takeout right now.
Oh yeah,
fast food. Like, think about how many people touch that food that you're about to eat.
Well, yeah.
Like, I am literally only packaged food right now. Like, I don't want. Like the worst thing I do right now with interaction is getting my cup of coffee when on the couple days a week that I leave the house to go hiking or record this podcast or do whatever. Like, but other than that, like I've stopped eating any fast food, any takeout, anything like that, any delivery. Nope. Like because you're just upping your risk. Like, think about the number of people
that you're interacting with increases the odds of getting it.
Right. At least it's super packaged food you can wash off when you get home.
You can take it out of the box, throw the box away, and put it in the fridge or the freezer,
you're done.
Or whatever you need to.
Yeah. So that was a really good. That's a really good excuse for you to eat healthy, to start cooking at home.
Well, also, if you're cooking too, you're destroying whatever's in there if you're cooking it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this is a good opportunity to reevaluate what's important and what isn't.
Yeah. So but it's a good opportunity for you to eat at home, for you to if you're afraid of getting the virus, if you're overweight, if you need, and you're high risk, or even if you're not high risk, but you're worried about catching it. Well, what increases your risk is having 5 people touch your food when you order out. You can avoid that by cooking at home, and a byproduct of that, it's healthier.
Yeah.
It's way better for you. You control exactly what goes in there. You control the raw vegetables, like exactly what you want to eat.
Yeah, you're controlling the ingredients. You're controlling how much calories and how much whatever you're putting into it.
Yeah.
And home cooked meal is always healthier and better than.
And it's a really good excuse right now that you're doing it because you don't want to catch anything from other people handling your food. And that's a very valid excuse. And that's one of those things. You could trick yourself that way right now.
Yeah.
You could trick yourself and say, I'm doing it for Corona. Like I don't want to interact with 5 people just to have a pizza.
Yeah.
That's a really good excuse for you to start cooking your own food right now. And so why don't we share a couple recipes? I just made cauliflower rice yesterday. I love cauliflower rice. I think we've talked about that. I do half a head of cauliflower, half a head of broccoli together. And then I do tilapia and shrimp together. And I just throw them all in the food processor, and I turn it into paste, and then I cook it all, and it turns into like this essentially fried rice looking thing.
Yeah.
Like that's, grainier, but essentially, and then I put it in one of our low carb tortillas that we love from Walmart. A little bit of sriracha, a little bit of cabbage, raw cabbage. They added crispiness to it. It's like so good and like no calories.
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of my go-tos is I like to do like in my own egg drop soup or egg flour soup. It's got different names. The Asian style soup. So it's all you need is chicken broth. So you can either do like bouillon, or if you have stock, or if you have chicken broth canned or whatever it is, or if you have chicken, heat it up, get it boiling, and then you just whip up an egg real fast. And so if you get it from a restaurant, they'll put starch to thicken the soup, but I don't, because I'm not going to add any starch because that's carbs. So I just have the soup, and I like to put like a little red pepper, a little black pepper, ginger, and maybe a splash of soy if you want, but I don't worry about that. It's already kind of salty. Mm-hmm. And garlic and onion. And then I like to cut up some green onion, spring onion, in little slices, put that inside. So I get that boiling good. Then you just you kind of get it spinning. You have an egg that you get a couple eggs or an egg, and you whisk that. And then you just pour it into the broth as it's boiling, and you just kind of keep it spinning, and it just kind of turns it into like these long strands of white egg. If you've been to a Chinese restaurant, they have it. Mm-hmm. You've had this before, and that's one of my go-tos. It's super low calorie.
Sometimes I'll put an egg in my cup of soup.
Yeah, anything like it totally works.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and it's one of my favorite go-tos. Like if you're doing this and you want to do like, there's a thing called an egg fast, and you're coming out of that, where you only eat eggs. It's kind of weird, but some people like to do that to push the keto.
Eggs are surprisingly nutritious.
They have almost everything you need in them.
There's 75 calories roughly an egg for a medium-sized egg, I think, or large. I'm not sure. 75 calories, tons of vitamins and minerals in there.
Yeah.
And like
all the
75 calories.
And it's got all the fat you'll need.
Yeah, that's another one of those lies we were told for decades was that dietary cholesterol is bad for you, and so eggs were bad for you.
No, they're not. They're good for you.
They're great for you.
And so a couple eggs in the broth, it's got like 20 to 50 calories at most.
Yeah,
depending on what kind of broth you get. And I used to put a little bit of either avocado or coconut oil into it, or butter.
Oh, to thicken it and
give it a little more.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those people who does cheese, you can do a tiny bit of cheese, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And that's a great little thing, and it's a good way to like it's filling, because it's mostly water really, but it fills you up, and it's this warm thing, and it warms you to the core, and it's just one of those really good things. And if you want to have a little more with it, you could have some chicken with it or something like that.
You put a protein in the soup.
One of those tortillas we're talking about.
I love those.
You can have those one of those again, the low carb wrap with it. You can like dip it in there and eat it. That's it's just one of my favorites. I also like doing bone broth. I do the same thing when I do bone broth. I add an egg to it.
Really?
Yeah, because bone broth on its own, especially depending on what kind of bone broth it is, it's not always the best tasting thing. I found that it has a unique flavor to it. All that collagen and stuff in there. It's got a gelatin. It's got a uniqueness to it. If it's beef bone broth, because I make my own, like I keep my bones from things, and I found that the best one is turkey. So if you have turkey bones like after Thanksgiving, keep the bones if you can, freeze them, then you roast them in the oven for a little bit, and then you put them in a pot and you let it boil for like 2 days, like in a crock pot or something like that.
2 days in a crock pot?
You day and a half. Yeah, you just let it do it. You add a little bit of vinegar to it, because I think they hate to do that. I don't know why. I think it helps penetrate the bones.
Okay.
Because it gets all like everything out of there. Like some bones will literally dissolve. They'll be gone.
Wow.
It's weird. And so, and I use like the rib cage of the turkey after Thanksgiving and stuff. So there's still some meat in there. So I get some meat.
Sure.
All that connective tissue breaks down, turns into collagen. That's good for your skin. It's good for you. It's a good way to end a fast when you do an extended fast is bone broth. There's a lot of good recipes out there. Sometimes I mix it up, put some pork bones in there, some beef bones too. Beef is the hardest one to do for me. As much as I love beef.
Yeah, you're a big beef guy.
I'm a big beef guy. The beef bone broth is strong. It's just what it is. It's just a stronger flavor. Everything about beef is stronger. Mm-hmm. So you get an even stronger version of that bone broth. So it's a little much. So I like to add an egg to that and some Parmesan, actually. That's one I will put cheese in.
Oh, interesting.
Just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit to give it something else, because that bone broth by itself, for me, it's just weird. I can't even explain what flavor it is. It's just a weird flavor.
So another one I would do is if you're going out shopping and you want to do, like I would do Luigi's frozen ice. I don't know if I've told you that, but I don't know if I've told you guys that.
I think you did, yeah.
They're like 70 to 100 calories depending on which kind you get. You can get it at Smart & Final. You can get it at Walmart. I've seen it at Smith's.
That's the weird one, right? Because there's Luigi's frozen ice. There's Halo Top ice cream.
Those are different.
But they are low calorie-ish.
Well, they're 300 to 400 calories for a pint.
For a pint, but you're supposed to split it into fourths.
Yeah, which is like that much.
I do it, that much. But I'm weird.
I mean, I'll eat a whole pint, or I'll eat like half a pint, and like
Rebels also.
And I don't feel bad because it's like 300 calories.
Yeah.
Like as long as I'm not carb counting that week or that day, like I don't care.
But
like,
what I was going to say is weird about it is like, I know that they are all at the different stores, but it's always like this Smith's carries it, but this Smith's just across, a few blocks doesn't. I'm
it's
like, why?
Very strange how they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like certain Walmarts carry certain one, like Luigi's frozen ice. You'll find at some Walmart, not at the other. Like you guys are 3 miles apart.
Yeah.
But they have their own algorithm. Like people buy this here and not here, so they stock it here. Like who cares? But I would definitely get the Luigi's frozen ice. Like those things are 100 calories top, 70 if you get the ones from Smart and Final that come in a cone. They taste great. They're like the shaved ice that you get. The Italian ice. They're so good though. So like 100 calories. So like that's another thing you could stock up on and not feel bad. So that's what I've been like. Once I cleared out those snacks, I've been keeping healthy snacks, and like I've been making healthy food. So I've gone back to. I've been like, oh, I saw what would happen at the beginning of this Corona lockdown. Right? I was like, oh. I stocked up the house and I ate it all. It's like, so we need to adjust. And so like
pivot.
We need to pivot, right? Whereas before when I was just fat, I'd be like, yeah, okay, so that's what I did and bring more food. But now it's like I need to pivot. And so I brought healthy snacks. I started cooking healthy food. And so when I wanted to snack, when I am bored and I can't force myself to go hiking like Larry can, when I open up that fridge, at least all my options are healthy options. And that is huge. I can't tell you how many times I open the cupboard, I close it. I open the fridge, I close it, looking for that sweet, sugary, disgusting dopamine fix that I'm looking for, and my body doesn't find it. And then I eventually have some carrots or an apple or something, and it takes care of that fix and tricks it, and I've eaten something completely healthy. But if I had the unhealthy crap in the house, those are the first things to go.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do is I joke, I split an apple with somebody. I go, someone who wants half an apple, because I'm not going to eat a whole apple because of the carbs, because calorically it's nothing, just because of the carbs. So I'm like, who wants half an apple?
100 calories an apple?
If that, depending on the size of the apple. Like if it's a big apple, yeah. Like if it's a Granny Smith, they're even lower. Like they're one of the healthiest because they're not that sweet.
They're not very sweet, yeah.
Yeah, I actually like them a lot. I like sour apples. So I will split an apple, or like we had some Asian pears in the house. I'll third them, like who wants a third of an Asian pear? And so I just do weird stuff like that. But having the healthy option, having the fresh fruit, the fresh vegetables, the fresh whatever is nice option. If not that, canned or frozen. But try not to have the chips and the cookies and the snack cakes and all that stuff in the house. Because when you have them in the house, that's what you're going to go for.
Yeah,
you're even though you're like, okay, I'll only eat these one at a time. It never works.
Bullshit.
It's impossible. Yeah. I actually had a Pop-Tart the other day.
Ooh.
Because I was like, I'm going to have some Pop-Tarts. And I was like, I'll just have one. It wasn't that good. It was so not good. It was not worth it, but I still had it. And I toasted it. And this was without the frosting. So this is like the bare minimum base strawberry Pop-Tart. And it was just, it was not good. But I was like, I'll just have one. I'm like, well, then what am I going to do with the other one? Because no one's going to eat this.
Did it at least satisfy your mouthfeel that you were looking for?
No. It wasn't worth it.
That's a bummer.
So like, I shouldn't even had it in the house kind of thing. But
so that's important. Like
an apple would have been way better is what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely. And so that's one of those, like, it's a trick that you can use during normal times, but it's a great trick now that we're all stocking up for Corona and stuff. And we're all like, making sure our pantries are full and our fridges
last forever in the fridge too.
They all last forever, and it's like fill your house up with healthy snacks right now. Like I know you're panicking, you want to go get a bunch of stuff. You're gonna fill up the house. If you've already done it, clear out the bad snacks. Don't feel guilty. Start filling it up with good snacks.
Replace it with the good stuff.
Like you're gonna keep yourself stocked up because that's what you do during your crisis. You want to make sure that yourself and your family has enough to go on in case things really fall apart. So just use this, take me as an example of what not to do, and take Larry as an example of what to do, and use that. You fill your house up with healthy snacks. Like do it. Apples and mandarins and cauliflower. Like it's so good. Like I can't believe that I love all that stuff now.
Yeah, exactly. I talk about like I used to not like broccoli and cauliflower, and now they're
Hated 'em.
two of my favorites.
So delicious.
Back to do another recipe. One of my favorites. This is like if you wanted to do vegan, right?
Okay.
This is one of my favorite things. I started doing it when I did a couple weeks of vegan thing, and I tried to keep it low carb. And so I would take some about a half a cup of cauliflower, riced cauliflower, as it were, chopped. Half a cup of cabbage, not half. This is probably like a couple tablespoons worth of diced onion.
I love onions.
Yeah. And I'd have some romaine spinach set to the side. So then I would cook that all up, maybe even some carrot in there, in some avocado oil. Just get it good and going. Then right at the end, throw the lettuce and the spinach in to wilt it. And then I would take one of those low carb wraps and I would heat it directly over fire. Like I would just turn the grill, the stove on and just set it over that. And then I would add just a splash of soy sauce and I probably some
to the bread.
No, to the vegetables I just cooked. A little splash of soy sauce and maybe ginger and garlic to it. And salt and pepper, obviously. And then I would put that inside the wrap and twist it up and then make like a spring roll out of that.
Ah.
And it would be this big, huge, massive thing, like a burrito. But it's all vegetables, all on the low carb side. So good.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when I did it how much I liked it. And you could add like shrimp or some meat to it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's obviously not vegan, but this is a vegan version. And I was doing that that was my favorite thing during those couple of weeks was that thing.
That sounds delicious.
It was really good, and so I loved it, and it was very simple. And like the crunch from the cabbage and the because I wouldn't overcook it, and I have like big pieces of cabbage. Throw some bok choy in there if you got it. It's just this Asian cabbage.
Yeah,
so good. I loved it, and that was just one of my go-tos. And even now, when I'm like because calorically it's very little.
Okay,
so I would just do that. I mean, the most is the avocado oil.
Yeah,
that's almost all the calories because between the cauliflower and the cabbage and the lettuce and the spinach, there's not very many calories there.
Yeah, that's where most of your calories usually come from. I find.
In fact, the wrap in the oil was most of it.
Yep, the bread and the oils and the fats, like the vegetables and fruits, like have like no calories on their own.
Yeah, like strawberries. Like I remember watching this, BuzzFeed videos. It came by and it was like it was like a plate of, and it was like, can you guess the calories? And so they have like a plate of chocolate or a plate of this, a plate of that, and they had like a plate of strawberries, and it was like nothing. And the people were like, oh, so I can eat all the strawberries I want? And it's like, yeah, pretty much, because if you eat enough of it, eventually it's just going to start going right through you. You're not even going to be digesting it. You're going to be pooping out strawberries. So it's like they're so high in fiber and they're so low calorically, and they taste great. I mean, who doesn't love strawberries? I mean,
I don't love them.
I love them.
Like they're
okay. I'm sure people
they're kind of tart for me.
Well, it's all about getting the right ones. You know what I mean? Like, cause this is a weird thing for me. Like, as someone who buys so much fresh fruit and vegetables, it can be day to day or week
so
to
hit
week.
or miss.
It's like these blackberries look great, and I get them like, oh, those were bad,
horrible.
And these ones don't look great, and they taste fantastic. And sometimes they look like they taste how they look. Sometimes they don't.
Same thing with grapes and clementines.
And so I've learned for me, when I get if I get a batch of berries, strawberries, whatever, it's not that good. I just chop them up and freeze them because this helps with the process. You freeze them, and then after they've been frozen for a couple of days, then I boil them down in some water and make like a jam out of it. And I use a flaxseed, hemp, and chia seed mix to make like a jam out of it. It's not, and if I sweeten it, it's with a stevia or something, an artificial sweetener. So I have like a jam, and then I'll mix.
How many calories do you think is in the?
It's boiled down some, but not that much because it's more thickened with the flaxseed and chia. So it's probably not that, but I don't eat a lot of it at once. I can make a spoonful.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, how many?
I have no idea.
Yes,
for me, it's high in fiber. That's what I'm going for. So it's my poop medicine.
Your poop medicine. Those tortillas that we get. I looked at the name too. It's like extreme something. It wasn't even like I thought it was all wellness, but like I looked at it too. I'm like, oh, I'll remember. It's like extreme wellness or extreme, I forget. But yeah.
It says that on the package. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. I don't know how you're going to find it. Like low carb tortilla wrap at Walmart or something. Like Jamie, pull that up. Like we don't have a Jamie to pull up stuff while we're doing the podcast. But yeah, I would definitely do like the Luigi's frozen ice. Those are a lifesaver for me. They're 100 calories. They take care of my sweet cravings. They take care of my ice cream cravings. They handle so many of the mouthfeels. And I found like a lot of the tricking yourself aspect of weight loss is tricking yourself with the mouthfeels, right? Because like if you want, say you're craving potato chips, it's not necessarily potato chips that you want. You can fake yourself out with the mouthfeel, right? So like I'll do seaweed.
It's OLE, Extreme Wellness.
That's the one.
Yeah. They're fantastic.
I was close.
And I think there's a bull on there. I was right. Yeah, there's like the OLE, and it's like the Mexican flag or something, like the green, white, and orange or whatever. It's also the Italian flag, so I was getting mixed up.
I think it's the Italian.
But there's a bull on the top. And they have another one that's not the Extreme Wellness, but it's the same thing. It's just the non-spinach.
That's the white one. Yeah.
The white one. And they have one that's like slightly browner.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing. And I love all of them.
Yeah. While you were pulling that up, we were talking about mouthfeels.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. But that's good. I'm glad we got the name. But mouthfeel wise, like, so when I crave potato chips, I'll do seaweed.
Oh yeah. My sister does that. I need to get some.
Like I go to the Asian store and I get like the teriyaki seaweed. It's got like the whole thing's got like 25 calories. It's incredible because it's just seaweed, but it feels like chips. It's got that pop.
It's got the snap.
It's not as thick as potato chips, so you don't get that crunch. But it like, and what you're talking about while you're looking that up is tricking your mouth feels. I found that's kind of the biggest way to hack the diet aspect is when you're craving potato chips, you're not necessarily craving potato chips, you're craving the mouthfeel, and you could trick yourself.
Yeah.
It's by turning it on yourself. So like, what are some mouthfeel tricks that you use?
For me, calorically, they're not the best, but I've talked about this with pork rinds if you're doing keto. I like to do pork rinds, and I like to get the just the salted ones, and I have a big tub, and I'll just buy bags of them when they're on sale, and I'll put them in there, and then I season it myself.
Ah, that's smart.
So like I have like some ranch powder or some onion powder, garlic powder, whatever it is, or Parmesan cheese even, and I'll season it myself so I know what's going in there. Because you'd be surprised if you buy like a flavored one that they sneak sugar in there.
Oh, they put and plus the dextromorphin.
Yeah, and all the stuff they sneak in there. So if you do it yourself, you season it yourself, you can control what's in there better. So I try to do that, and that's one of my go-tos for that. I like to do like the flaxseed, chia, and I gotta find that
hemp. I think you said.
Yeah, it's hemp. It's like this kind of high fiber. If you see it in a lot of like keto places, they'll say like, hey, here's one of the things you can do. I like to add that to things. Like I like to make like a pudding out of that.
Oh,
so you get some cocoa powder and you choose like an almond milk or something like that.
Yeah,
and you just whip that up like as if you're making chocolate almond milk, but you use cocoa powder. You don't want to use any sweetener. You don't want to use, Nesquik or something stupid like that because that's just sugar. So like straight up cocoa powder, because then you get the antioxidants from that. And then I just throw in the hemp seed, chia, and flax, and it absorbs it and it makes like a pudding out of it. And it's not perfect, but it's enough for me. And I'm like, this is like having a little pudding cup.
That's hilarious. Because when I want pudding and I want to hack, I'll take a tub of low-fat yogurt, which is about 400 to 500 calories for the whole tub, the pint or whatever it is. I think it's a quart, maybe.
You do sugar-free pudding, right?
And I do sugar-free Jell-O.
Jell-O, that's right. That's right.
I do sugar-free Jell-O in the yogurt, and it turns it into pudding. Like my favorite is pistachio.
Yeah, you told me about that.
There's a couple other sugar-free options that are fantastic. So you just
hard to find sometimes.
They are. You mix half the packet in, and like it just turned and put it in the fridge for like half an hour, and it turns it into pudding. I mean, yes, it's yogurt, so it's got a little bit of different, a little sourness to it, but it's
close enough.
It's close enough. And you can have the whole thing for 500 calories.
Also, I'll say that as you change your diet and your flavor palette changes
so much.
So eventually, that's not an issue anymore. Like I was never into diet soda, didn't like it, so I just drank either regular soda or no soda. Then after not having soda for so long, and finally saying, "Oh, I'll have a diet because it's 0 calorie," and I'm like, "Oh, this is fantastic."
Yeah,
this to me, it tastes like regular soda now because my palate flavor changed.
I wonder how much
palate, however you say that.
I wonder how much of it is your palate changing or your palate being able to taste more. Because I noticed that the foods we eat when we're heavy are just like filled to the brim with sugar, fat, and salt.
Oh yeah, they're making up for the lack of quality with quantities of sugar, fat, and salt. They're covering up the.
So everything else doesn't taste nearly as good.
And when you get away from that,
and when you stop filling your mouth up with all that sugar, all that salt, everything else starts to taste better. That's why I think your palate changes.
that's definitely a part of it. But even there's other weird things. Like I said, I think I've said this before. I didn't like dark chocolate. I was just a milk chocolate guy. I wanted it to be sweet. I just wanted the sugar more than anything. And I liked a little bit of the chocolate. Now, the super dark chocolate with a little sea salt on it. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Right.
And a little bit of that goes a long way now. Again, like I can taste it more. I appreciate it more. Did you ever watch that movie Defending Your Life? It's an Albert Brooks movie. I think that's what it's called. So he's just kind of this average dude who dies one day. And he wakes up and he's in heaven. And you have like so many days to they kind of take you around and show you stuff. And then at the end of it, you have to defend your life. I think that's what it's called. I could have the title wrong. But you have to prove that you're ready to go to the next level. And if you're not, you come back to Earth. So you're reborn, you go through it again. And
same life?
No, I think it's a different life.
Okay.
You start over again and go through it again. And there's a whole test that's going on. And but there's a scene in there where the angel guy that's taking him around and showing himself, this guy who's moved on to another level.
Right.
He's eating this bowl of porridge or something. And he's just enjoying it. And Albert Brooks has everything available to him that he'd ever want from Earth, like the best foods in the world, but he wants to try that. He's like, "Oh, you won't like this." He's like, "No, I like it." He's like, "No, you won't appreciate it." And he's like, he goes to eat it and he's like, "Oh," because it's bland and boring. There's nothing. He's like, "I'm so advanced now. I can taste the nuances and all the things you can't taste." And I think that's kind of what happens when you get away from just throwing sugar, fat, and salt at it. I mean, don't get me wrong, those are fantastic things. Those are what make food taste good.
Yeah.
But they throw so much of that at it to cover up that it's not real food or that it's just junk, that's all you're expecting all the time. And so when you can finally get away from that and you start eating real food, then you can appreciate the nuances of a simple dish.
Yes. How can an apple taste good if all you're eating is cheesecake and donuts? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're eating candy all day.
Yeah. So how can something
Apple can't compare to that
has 150 grams of sugar, like a donut or whatever, or 2 donuts or a cheesecake, compare to an apple that's got 10, 20.
Yeah, 20 carbs total or something.
And so
sugar.
And so when you say I can't stand vegetables, they're too bitter, it's because your palate is just so used to so much salt and sugar and fat.
There's a podcaster that I listened to a long time. He talked about a lot of Americans are stuck in the num stage.
The num stage.
Num stage, when you're a little kid and they put a little sugar on something to get you to eat it.
Yes.
And some of us get stuck there. It's kind of like ketchup. There are people out there who eat ketchup on everything because it's not because I have nothing against ketchup. I use it.
I use ketchup on my burger or fries.
Yeah, but there are these people who put ketchup on everything. It's because it's sweet. Because it's sweet.
Yeah.
Because they want the sugary sweetness from the ketchup because they can't eat the food without it because they are stuck in the num stage. Mm-hmm. So they drench their. I mean, have you ever had a brat with just mustard? It's fantastic. It's what they're meant. Brats are meant to have mustard on them. They're not meant to have ketchup on them. If you put ketchup on a brat, it's blasphemy.
Okay.
I mean, I get some people are going to do that, but if you're going to have ketchup, you better have mustard too. That's all I'm saying. If you have a Bavarian spicy mustard on that, it's the best. I mean, that's what they both come from the same place. That's where brats come from. Right. And so there's a lot of people who are stuck in that num stage. They always need to have that sweet thing, to make it work. And if you can get away from that, then you can really, it's kind of it's like your palate matures.
Yeah. It's not that, like I said, I don't think again, I think that's the reverse way of looking at it, that where your palate gets better or matures.
Well, no,
I think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think your palate is so shrunk from all that salt and stuff that you can't taste anything else.
No,
so it's not that
I think we're saying the same thing. You're just
we're approaching it different from yes. So because I worry, I
it's
often
you've atrophied it.
Well, because I don't want people to ever think this makes you a better person.
No. I think it's
it's not that.
It's not that. All. No. What I'm saying is you can actually your mouth will actually appreciate it because it can actually taste the differences.
Because it can actually taste it. Yes.
It's
not that you're becoming more refined and sophisticated.
It's like the receptors in your mouth have atrophied from being bombarded with sugar and stuff for so long, so they don't have to work to taste the nuances. They just sugar hits them, and then they just activate that receptor in your brain. Now it's actually learning how to find it, search and get the nuances and the differences.
Yeah. So think of it like tolerance, right? Like, so when you take a pill or whatever, you smoke weed or whatever it is that you do, even just your medicine that you take that your doctor's prescribed, your body starts to build a tolerance. So what your body's done is you're getting fatter and fatter. You're building a tolerance to salt and food and sugar and taste.
Even more sugar and salt to actually taste it.
And so your palate just needs more and more and more and
that's
more.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yes.
We're approaching
two different angles.
But yeah, so I would say that in that same aspect, like a lot of people who are heroin addicts, and then when they go off and they come back and they OD, you will do that if you go back to what you used to eat. I've literally done it. Or at Christmas, like I was like, okay, I'm taking the holiday off, and I had sugar and I just overdid it, and my legs swelled up. And I felt like horrible for 3 days. And for
do you have a ballpark for how many grams of sugar you had?
I have no idea.
Like thousands?
Oh, okay, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I ate half a tray of fudge by myself. It was ridiculous.
Only half a tray?
Well, there was other people there. They had to get some of it.
I've had fudge. I've had so much fudge in the past that I've thrown up. Like,
okay, no, I didn't throw up, but I definitely felt like it at times. Like I was like, oh, if I eat more, I'm going to throw up. Let me have one more piece of that.
That's the thing, though, right? Like, did you ever used to, like, I used to do that all the time. I would eat well beyond to the point where it was uncomfortable.
I would joke, one of my jokes when I was fat was a real man eats past full. And so it was like, I remember, I was a plumber, and I worked with my uncle. I was like his assistant. So it was him, my uncle, and then the co-owner of the company. We went to this place and we ordered one of those giant, it was like a golf course. It was like their restaurant at the end of it. It's called the 19th hole or something like that. And
that's a good name.
Yeah, it is a great name. This giant pizza, and then like hot wings, and then chili fries, and it was like this huge thing, but we're 3 big guys.
That sounds so delicious.
And the waitress was like, are you guys gonna be able to eat this? And then that was the joke. Well, real men eat past full. And we ate everything on that plate, on that table. It was ridiculous. And I was actually not even close to my heaviest then, but
I used to love eating with my fat friends that none of us would feel shame.
Yeah, because we're all in the same boat.
And we would just, like, me and my buddy, I had a
friend. Kind of a codependency.
Yes.
It's like hanging out with a drug addict when you're a drug addict.
I had one friend that back when I lived in North Carolina and worked there, we used to work together, and he was a big guy, I was a big guy. We'd go to like Damon's, which was a rib house, and just you want to get another appetizer? Let's get 3. We get 3 appetizers, a rack of ribs. Like with other people, you're ashamed, but we would just eat as much as we wanted without feeling, because like when you're out with thin people or normal people, as a fat person, like at least I would order much less. I would eat much less. I never wanted people to like go, oh my God, look how, like I would always save my binging to where no one was watching.
Yeah. I had a couple of buddies that I would do stuff like, not necessarily that extreme, but it was like, hey, it's payday. I'm going to go out. You want to go out? We go out, and yeah, we just load up and get what we want, get whatever we wanted. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you do it once in a blue, like
as a treat
once a month kind of thing. But when you're doing that constantly, that's the problem. And like, yeah, over way too much food. And the other thing too, like now when I do go eat out, like I had a buddy come in from Turkey. I haven't seen him in a while. We went out to eat, chose healthy options, but it was a good amount of food. But that was all I ate that day. And before, if I did that day, I'd been eating all day already before I even went there. So it's just, there's a huge difference.
Yes, I would have had lunch already, or I would have had a pre-dinner already, or
plus whatever snacking in between. So
and plus I'd be planning what to eat after. Like I
totally used to do that. I go out with some thin people and eat, and then like, okay, we're done. See you guys later, and I would go somewhere else.
And then I'd have my real dinner.
My real dinner, because I'm still hungry.
Yeah, that was nothing.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I'd have dinner with people, and I'd have an appetizer and a dinner or whatever, or just a dinner depending on, and then I would be like nowhere near done.
Yeah,
but like you can't order a second and third plate when you're around people.
Yeah,
like it's so weird, man. Like it's so weird, like having that 500-pound life to think about when you don't do that anymore, and how normal that was.
Yeah,
to eat that much food. But I can go back to it. That's the thing. Like, that's why I've been struggling so hard lately, right? Like, I can slip. Like, you seem to slip less often back into it, whereas I can so easily wake up tomorrow and just go back to eating garbage.
I'll say that it's definitely there, and I can so easily do it. I think
I mean, I never will. Don't get me wrong. Like this is
the same thing. Like, yeah, I could totally do it. I think one of the differences is when I do that, when I do have a slip up, rather than punish myself by being like, oh, I messed up. Oh, I've ruined all this work, blah, blah, blah. I try to go, okay, that didn't happen today. Let's go work out. You know, and then I just act like it didn't happen and I just stay on the diet.
And the way I do it is, okay, I had like 6,000 calories yesterday. Screw this. What I'll do is I'll fast for 2 days and then I'll work out hard one day. And it's like, I've made up for that.
And I do that too.
And now I can go back to my normal routine.
We talked about before we started, I was swallowing my gum because I didn't want to be chewing while we're recording. And you're like, do you swallow your gum? Like, yeah, all the time. Then I was like, and I'm on a fast right now. So I'm doing this for all of you, even though it's nothing. It's sugar-free gum. But yeah, and the reason I'm on a fast is because we got a barbecue pit, had the grandkids come over and cooked hot dogs and stuff. And you know, had some fun, and then we had s'mores, and it's like, I'm going to have some. So I had some, and I overdid it a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'm going to fast. And then I was like, well, I haven't done my extended fast for this month. It's April now, so I can say that. So I'll just do my extended fast now. So
you can do you know?
Huh?
Are you going to do 3 days?
I'm doing 3 days.
You're doing 3?
Yeah. That was one of the things that I do. I do one extended fast a month, and it'll be 3 to 5 days. So this will be 3 days. I might push it to 5, but I had one.
3 days seems to be like the perfect.
I think that is, yeah. If you're intermittent fasting constantly, which I am, I do that 7 days a week, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing it constantly, the first day is a piece of cake.
Yeah,
you just fall asleep that night without eating.
Yeah, it's like
second day's hard.
Third day's the hardest.
Yeah.
Third day's always the hardest. No matter how far you're going, it's always the third day's the hardest. Oh. So I'll do 3 days, and then on day 4, sometime in there, I'll eat.
Yeah. Like the second day, your body almost resets in the morning. Mm-hmm. And so you don't really feel too bad until
you don't even notice
afternoon.
You didn't eat. You don't even notice that you didn't eat
because your body's just reset.
It's just used to it,
and it's gone back to okay. We're gonna wait for it. But then as the day goes on, you get hungrier sooner, more and more, and then it's really ravishing that night. And the third day is just awful.
Yeah. So I'm on day 2 right now.
Okay. So you're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm clear.
You're clear. Yeah. So yeah, any last bit of advice for people on this Corona? What they can do, not do. Don't panic.
You'll panic.
Be okay. If you're overweight, if you're overweight, this is a really good time to help yourself more than usual. Losing weight has always been a help yourself sort of thing. Same way I told Larry when I first met him. Nobody's going to do this for you. Not your mom, not your neighbor. Literally nobody can or will do this for you. It's both. Nobody wants to do it for you, and nobody can. Even if your parents love you or your kids love you and they want to do it for you, they can't.
Even if they're trying to, all it's going to do is burn up your goodwill with each other.
Yes, because you just resent people. When you're not ready and they're trying to help you out, you resent them.
And then eventually they're going to get upset with you for not doing it. So it's up to you. You have to do it. So this is a good time to reevaluate. I can't say that word.
That's a tough one.
Reevaluate. Nope. There it is. Reevaluate.
Pretty good. Right. It's kind of like, it's one of those words, if you say it too often, it stops making sense, like sponge cake.
It's not a word anymore.
Keep saying sponge cake over and over again. Eventually, after like the 50th time, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Anyways, good time to take a look at self-evaluate. Man, I cannot say that word.
Yeah.
Take a look at everything.
Self-reflect.
Take stock, self-reflect. Realize what you do and do not need, you know, and move forward and make that decision, make that choice to make things better.
Think of the coronavirus and you know, whatever you think of the coronavirus, but think of it as your wake up call from the universe to go, oh, I need to be healthier for myself, for my family, to survive. Like, you want to survive, right? Like, that's the weird thing about being that heavy. I used to wake up most mornings wishing I hadn't, you know, and it wasn't like a suicidal thing or anything crazy like that. It was just a malaise, I think they call it.
I think the darkest I remember looking this up. I was like, wouldn't it be awesome to have never existed?
Yes, that's exactly how it feels.
You have this weird mentality of that. Like, I don't want to die. I just want to have never been.
Yes, or not be, or just go to sleep and just not be anymore.
That's a dark place.
And that's like that. But so if you're, this is a really good time for you to use this as a wake up call to get away from that, right? Like you need to be healthy. Like, if you want to live, right, and you've made that, like, think about it. Do you want to live? And if you've made that decision that you want to live, this is a really good wake up call from the universe that you should be as healthy as possible, because you never know what tomorrow brings.
Yeah.
You never know when something's going to collapse on your leg, and having 100 less pounds of weight on you will make it easier to to get away from there and survive and to live.
Or you have to move it. Like you have to get up and move somewhere. And if you got an extra 200 pounds on you. Someone asked me that question the other day. Have you tried carrying the weight? Like I'd have to go and get 270 pounds like in a pack and put it on me. And could I run with that? Or no, I don't think I could. So it's like, yeah, I haven't done that. And so if to be in a position where if you need to move, you can move.
Yeah. So if you want to live, this is your wake up call, man. Like this is the universe going, hey, you need to be healthier. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to be a struggle. And even 2 years later, you're going to be bitching about the last 30, 40 pounds that you can't lose. Like it's not, but it's doable. And this is the world telling you, hey, you need to be healthier, especially right now. Like, especially with the rates this is killing fat people and old people. And it's like, this is targeting us, man. This is targeting who we were a year or two ago.
Yeah, overweight, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes.
Which all go hand in hand, right?
Those are all connected.
Like those all go hand in hand when you're overweight. Like is your high blood pressure gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, mine is almost gone. Like it's still high a little bit.
Yeah,
but it's not like it was.
Yeah, first episode we recorded, I had just gone to the doctor. I got everything back, and it's like basically everything was like good to excellent.
Yeah,
there was nothing bad. They were just like, this is amazing.
Yeah. So this is your opportunity, man. Like use this as your wake up call to do it, and we're around if you need us.
Yeah. So if you need any advice or anything like that, or have a question or want us to talk about something, leave a comment down below. If you're listening on a podcast or iTunes or something like that, email us. Or find us on YouTube or however, and just go ahead and answer or ask us something or tell us something, whatever it is. But that will end this episode of the No Breakfast Club. As always, I'm Larry.
And I'm Daniel.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya. Cool.